Brent Spiner is done with playing Data, and I completely understand where he's coming from. Spoilers for the first season of Star Trek Picard in this video, obviously, but just in case you have not watched the first season, you've been warned. Going into spoilers. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we saw Data die his consciousness, or what was left of his digital brain, essentially, in the finale of Star Trek Picard, while we saw his physical body die, 17 years ago in Star Trek Nemesis? Goodbye. Well, there have been a lot of talks about, is this really the end for Data? Is he ever going to come back? And basically we're being told not only by the showrunner, but also by Brent Spiner, yeah, he's gone. So this video, I just want to talk about Brent Spiner talking about it, but I do have another video I need to finish editing that talks about the showrunner for Star Trek Picard, and he actually answered a lot of these questions about the future of Data, the future of Picard, and just, I guess, tying up some loose threads from the first season that maybe people had questions about. So maybe look out for that video if you're interested. If not, that's okay. So apparently this is the last we'll see of Data, and Brent answered why that is, and he gave an answer that I feel like most people understand. I'm just too old. So here's his direct quote, and then I want to talk about it. I mean, there was just a finite amount of time that I could actually play Data no matter what anyone says. So many people were like, oh, you could do it, you're not too old. And then I do it and they go, you're too old. Why'd you do it? I personally think there's ways to get around it, especially if you watch The Next Generation. You know how they could actually age up Data and Brent could keep playing it. But I also understand his point of view of so many people wanted him to be like the Data we saw in The Next Generation and the last we saw of him physically in Nemesis. I say in quotes, of course, because there are other things going on. The thing is, though, that just, it can't happen. Actors get older, and even as good as we are with de-aging and CGI, there's still that uncanny valley, and I think they did the best they could. And the sad thing was, I saw so many people in the comment sections of my review videos for Star Trek Picard talking shit about how bad Data looks, and how he didn't have the same mannerisms, and it wasn't the same. So I feel Brent when he says, okay, everyone was like, oh, you should do it, you're not too old, and then he did it, and then people went, oh, you're too old, why'd you do that? It's been too long, you don't understand the character anymore. There was heavy criticism, even from this finale, of you weren't doing the proper way that Data speaks, and, you know, how his body language and all that, and it's like, Jesus Christ, people. Like, you yell and yell and yell about him coming back, and then he comes back, and you're like, fuck him. So I totally get why I don't want to play Data anymore. I did it, we gave a good ending for him, that's it. And actually, he talked a little bit about this being Data's end, so I want to share that little quote as well. I think we did it in such brief sequences that it was fine to do it, and I felt good about it, but I wouldn't really entertain the idea of doing it again because I just don't think it would be realistic. So it seemed right to me to give him this more gentle send-off, and it seemed right to me in the context of the entire season of Picard and what Picard himself had been experiencing because of the loss of Data. I think it allows him to feel okay about it too. So it seemed like the right thing to do. So if you were wondering, yeah, this is the end of Data, yeah, Brent Spiner does not want to play him anymore. He's completely past it. Data got a good end. I feel like most people should be. With how modern Star Trek is like, and I realize I'm showing my age and my bias, I do like old Trek. I'm sorry. I try to judge new Star Trek based on its own merits, but it's hard sometimes because in a lot of ways it's so vastly different, and I understand the reasons behind it, but it doesn't mean that it still doesn't bother me. I can understand something and it can still bother me. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. So with how modern Star Trek was going, the fact that he got such a beautiful send-off, I think is a godsend, and I don't want them messing around with his character anymore. It was beautiful. It's done. Let's move on. Now, that being said, even though Brent isn't going to play Data anymore, it doesn't mean that he won't play other characters. He's actually down for playing Alton Sung in a future episode of Star Trek Picard, maybe in season 2. So when asked if he would play Alton Sung again, he said, "Absolutely. I love working with all the people on the show. The new cast is fantastic. Obviously, to still be working with Patrick is a dream. Now there's a character that could conceivably go on and continue. So of course I'd love to." One, I want to make the joke, this just in, actor would love to keep on acting, but we've seen him play so many members of the Sung family. It makes sense. For some reason, everyone in that family looks disturbingly similar, almost like they're clones. I'm not gonna go into any weird shit because I just understand it's what they did because they wanted Brent to keep playing those characters. But I do like the idea of him playing future family members of the Sung family. I think that's pretty cool, and I like how they've done it in the past. So I guess at the end of the day, if you're sad about Data's story officially being over, don't. He died in a way that he would want. He's happy with his ending. The actor is happy with his ending. Just say goodbye to him and let's move on. And just be happy for what we got. Or you can rage and kick and scream and throw a hissy fit. I don't really care. Anyways, like, subscribe, and come back for more videos.